Hello there. My name is Tyson Parker. I'm in my I'm actually I'm going into my senior year. I guess I'm technically a senior because I'm going into the summertime now. Um, so I'm going into my fourth year. My major is African American Studies, and something that I find interesting about myself is that I have extra fingers. Where they're supposed to be extra fingers, they really didn't grow into nothing though. So they're just these little nibs. I always forget that they're on my hands, but I think they're really cool. So pretty proud of them. I know some people have them and they cover them up, and that's their business. You know what they do with their body is their business. But I like to let mine's out. Um, they don't feel like anything. I can't move them. They just there. so to share a little bit about my experience with reading, I grew up having to read. There was kind of like a point system, which I'm sure many of you guys would be familiar with, was the AR points or the accelerated reading points, and you did a reading comprehension test after taking a or after reading the book, and depending on how big that book was, you got a certain amount of points. Like you would get a lot more points for reading Harry Potter than you would for reading the Magic Treehouse or Junie B. Jones. So my style of books was picture books. But then like the more and more that I got older, it was an expectation for me to read chapter books. But I would have to read books about things I didn't care about, like medieval Europe and wizards and Alexander the Great and historically or not historically, but I say historically because I'm digging in the past, but a lot of these characters were white. And I couldn't relate to them on a personal level. I think that made it really hard for me to connect with what I was reading about. Um, and then also, my grandma would make me write a book report, and reading just became exhausting, and it felt like a chore. So I didn't like reading for a long time. It turned me off from participating in anything in the realm of reading and writing, and it it affected my confidence when it came to writing. And it wasn't that I, until I got to college, that I had an opportunity to revisit that. Um, and this was in my English 101 class. Everyone has to take English. So I took English, and I had this teacher, and her name was Professor Pinkerton. And I thought it was really interesting because I remember her telling us that like education was, or not education, higher education, like being a professor. She was an adjunct professor, was a new experience for her, and that she wasn't that confident. But she did an amazing job. I think that the way that she organized the class and put interesting, content there and tried to make it, like tried to connect it to the experience of, like what to expect for college, made for a more interesting class. And because of that, I didn't have a hard time engaging with the content of the class and generating essays from that. And consistently, I would get like a B on my papers, and I finished the class with a B, and that boosted my confidence with writing. And then um, it also inspired me to read a little bit more. And then also with my major, there's a lot of reading, and it's all things that I care about, which makes reading more fun. Well, I'm not someone who reads for pleasure. When I read, it's to put some new ideas into my mind. A lot of things with ethnic studies is just like, theories and framework, and so like if I'm trying to learn some new stuff, so I can incorporate that into my writing or just think through different ideas. Um, that's when I'm reading. So usually, if I'm reading, um, it's probably for class. But I do have some books that I'm going to try and get through during the summertime, just because I've also found that sometimes reading has given me the vocabulary to articulate things that I have been thinking, but I've never thought to say out loud, which has been a really interesting experience. The type of text that I prefer to read are like historical, or just like people talking about their own life. I guess like memoirs, um, stuff in that area. I think poetry is cool, but uh, I also have this problem where a lot of things that I read that are in the realm of poetry kind of cringe me out really bad. So I tend to steer away from poetry unless it's like rap music or like Maya Angelou or something like that. But I also like to hear people's opinions on like like the philosophies of like, I guess, love, or just like stuff like that. Uh, like dealing with trauma, looking for role models. But usually, I'd prefer to see an interview or watch someone speak. But there's been times where I've caught it in a memoir, or like someone's recommended me a passage in a certain book. Um, and then I have read. I saw. I don't even remember the um, the artist or the writer's name, but they wrote a book about their experience as a woman, and there was this like powerful like excerpt, which was directed towards women and their experience with just something as simple as having hair in your arm. I never really thought about the hair on my arm, but um, a lot of women, or I imagine probably every woman in the U.S. has had to think about it, because there's these crazy expectations for women, and that there is a big chunk of self esteem that is like connected to your appearance, and it doesn't exist in the same way for men as it does for women. And so that really pushed me to think about, like, what do I do? In what ways have I been an agent of the perpetuation of these things that work to harm women, mentally, spiritually. And I thought about the experience of, I told a girl that she was manly, because she had hair on her arm, and now it's because she had said that I looked like a girl, and it was like, her telling me I look like a girl really didn't bother me that much. But I was like, oh, like, you're talking mess to me, I'm gonna talk mess to you. And if I tell her that her likeness is similar to a man, then she loses a lot more than I do being told that my likeness is, similar to a woman. And so it made me think about experiences like that, and how, like, in the moment I was just like, oh, well, I'm talking trash, but like in retrospect, it's like, wow, I was actually, um, I was perpetuating a type of harm, against women. But I don't remember the name of the book. But I just hope to get put on some new information, so I could be a better human. And also, like, I've been taking a bunch of Chicano studies classes within like the last, I guess, year and a half, and they've all been like consistently like interesting, and they help me grow as a person. So I'm really looking forward to the content of this class. Thank you for watching my video. Also, my name is Tyson, if I didn't say.